Hey folks, Daniel here. Welcome to the channel. In this episode, I'm going to be showing you how to separate the ring from the hat on two-piece rotors and replace the ring. It's a pretty simple, straightforward process, but there's important details that you want to make sure you're paying attention to. Now, this video applies to any car that has two-piece rotors, not just a Porsche. In fact, this car never even came with two-piece rotors. If you remember in a previous video, I upgraded to these Paragon two-piece slotted rotors. I'm going to show you how it's done in this video so you can feel confident in replacing your rotor rings, saving you money from buying an entire rotor setup. Let's get started. All right, so what's kind of funny is I'm not actually replacing my rotor rings. These things are holding up great. These are the Paragon rotors and they've been through over 5 track days. There's not even really a noticeable ledge on here or rim and no cracking or anything. They're doing great. And look, barely any wear. And I love how they perform. So what I'm actually doing today is replacing the hats because the hats are discoloring on this, and it's probably because they were some of the first Porsche sets that Paragon had produced. I'm actually not replacing the ring, we're replacing the hat. So I do recommend wearing gloves. Rotors tend to be pretty dirty. So separating the ring from the hat is very straightforward. You see all these metal attachment points. We just need to remove those, and you can see them on the inside of the disc here. They're just on there with a 4mm hex. That's these rotors. Yours may be different. So removing those is really straightforward. Anybody can do that. And because we are throwing this hardware away, I'm going to go ahead and use a power tool to make this a lot quicker. All right, we've removed all the hardware. Now, the ring just comes right up off the hat, just like that. And this is what you're normally gonna replace. This is the wear item. The hat, of course, we're gonna replace for a fresher one. We'll keep our ring. And so real quick, while I've got it out, I'm gonna go take it and clean it up. I'm gonna use a wire brush on all these areas and just try to minimize some of this natural rust buildup on an iron rotor, and then we'll throw on the new hat. We've got the rotor all cleaned up. This is the new rotor hat. It's a sort of a silver anodized. They still have black ones. This was a black one, but they're first generation, and you can see some discoloring here on this one, and the rear is even worse. The splotching makes me think it was chemical related, but Paragon really thinks it's heat related. Plus, the chemicals I use on my wheels have never damaged any, components before. So that's what those look like, and that's why we're replacing them. With new rotor rings, you're gonna get new hardware, and that's gonna vary with the brand, what the hardware looks like. But essentially, we are going to mount the hat on the smooth side of the rotor ring. That may be different again for your brand. Maybe take pictures before you take things apart. It helps you. And we are going to put the hat on this side, the smooth side, and the hardware is gonna go into each of these holes. Paragon suggests using Loctite on the hardware, and that's going to help ensure that it stays and doesn't back out. Your brand may not say that, or they may say to do something else, so just read your instructions. All right, so here's the hardware that Paragon gives us. It's 5 pieces per set. It comes with, number 1, a D bobbin. That's the kind on these rotors. It's called a D bobbin because it's a D shape. And essentially that is going to go into these holes from this side, and the flat side goes against the edge of the rotor hat. And what that does is when I screw in the screw from the other side, this is going to want to torque, but instead of torquing, it's going to stay put with that flat side against the hat. The other parts are a hex screw. This is a 4mm hex on this setup, and a square washer, a spring clip, and then a round washer on there as well. The spring clip has a bit of a beveled edge there and not on the other side, and that's going to help keep that square washer in place. And Paragon says that that beveled edge needs to go towards the inner section of the rotor. So I've put one D-bobbin in. I'll throw another one in here. This just kind of helps get this hat sort of aligned for now. They're going to fall out when I turn this over probably, but at least they're there and I can kind of get this positioned right. Now I can install this hardware from this side. So again, on this setup, it's square nut, spring clip, washer, and then hex head bolt, and that goes right down in there. Remember, the beveled side goes towards the intersection of the wheel, just like this, okay? And it's gonna mount up just like that. But first, let's throw some Loctite on there to make sure this doesn't back out. You don't need a lot of Loctite. It's not like glue. You just need like a drop or two on the first couple threads. And no, you don't need it to dry out before you put it in. Loctite will never dry out in air. It needs the lack of air to solidify essentially and lock it in there. So I got a couple threads there with Loctite on them, and now we'll install them. If you want, you can use a power tool for this section, but only to get the screw in there faster, but do not torque it down. This is not the time to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and install each of these the same way. So I'll hold the D-bobbin on the back side because it's gonna probably fall out, and then I'm gonna screw it into place, making sure that all the parts are there and aligned properly. And you'll wanna do this maybe, opposite sides initially until you get the rotor hat like lined up pretty well. Then the rest of them are all gonna fit in place nice and easy. But at first, you're gonna have to do some maneuvering, kind of like when putting a wheel on, until you get everything lined up. And that's why you don't want any of these too tight, so you have some movement. I'm gonna go ahead and install the rest of these all loosely, and then we'll get to the torquing step. All right, the last step to assembling these is proper torquing, and that's gonna vary, of course, with your rotors. Paragon says that when you have 12 points of attachment here, 12 pieces of hardware, you're gonna follow a specific order. Now, I almost did wrong here because I did the rears the other day, and the rears only had 10 pieces of hardware, not 12, and the order was different. So make sure you look at those manufacturer instructions. It's not just back and forth across each side necessarily. So I've got all these down just where it's a little bit of friction, but now we're going to put down 7 foot-pounds of torque. If you have a small torque wrench and it's in inch-pounds, that's going to be 7 times 12. That's 84 inch-pounds. I just picked up this new mid-range. It's the gear wrench. It's got a flex head. It's got an angle meter and, of course, digital torque with audio readout, so you know when you've reached that preset torque limit. I'm gonna get the big one eventually and the small one. This one, 7 foot-pounds, is at its low range, but I've compared it with my cheap Harbor Freight low range one, the inch-pound one, and they seem to be very similar. The other thing about this is you can't set it to 7 foot-pounds and have it beep at you. It only goes down to 10, but it does read out 7, so we're gonna get that set up. The other thing is you want to mark each one after you've torqued them so you know and you have a little history of which ones you've marked. Believe me, it's easy to lose track. Don't skip this step. Use some sort of marker. You can even use like, a Sharpie. Real quick, I'm going to number all these inside the rotor hat, and then I'm going to torque them down in the proper order. All right, so I've marked them according to Paragon's instructions, which I've put up on the screen for you. And now let's torque them down. I'm gonna turn on my torque wrench, and it's set to 10, it's as low as it's gonna go. But you'll see that as I torque it down, it will read up to 7. So let's start with number 1 here. And there's the readout. One smooth motion is always best. And there's 7.25, close enough. All right, that's number 1. I will mark it. All right, stick to the plan, folks, believe me. Okay, I've torqued them all and I've verified that each one has been marked. That, folks, is how you put together your rotor ring with your rotor hat. Remember, follow your manufacturer's instructions. They all could be different. Even between my front and rear, the torque order was different, but the torque number was the same with the same hardware. And Paragon offers 3 different hardwares depending on the model that the rotor is. So keep that in mind. Stick to the details, folks. Stay organized. Use that marker. Use a good torque wrench, and you'll be set. So I hope that you found this video helpful in learning how to swap out rotor rings. Remember, this is great because you're not replacing the whole rotor. I think Porsche charges like, I don't know, $1,000 or $1,200 for 2 front rotors, for example. Paragon's 2 are, I think, about $1,000. I'll put it up on the screen here. But if you buy just the rings, I think it's like $700 or $800. So that means every time it's time to replace rotors, you're not spending as much. I think that's awesome. Plus, you're going to get that 2-piece design, which is great for handling temperatures and warping of the rotor. Okay, folks, if you like this video, please hit that like button. It really helps this video get some views. Consider subscribing and, of course, hitting the bell to get more Porsche DIY videos. Thank you so much for watching the Jet Fuel Only channel. Stay fast, but stay safe. We'll see you next time.